Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to show 5 chess traps in the Sicilian defense, and trust me guys, the traps that I am going to show you has a very high chance to occur in your practical games. So if you are a Sicilian player or the e4 player who don't like to face the Sicilian defense from the black, this video will be very helpful for you. So watch the video till the end so that you never fall into these traps in the Sicilian opening. So let's get started. So in total I am going to show you 5 chess traps in the Sicilian, among which 3 will be from the white side and 2 will be from the black side. So first trap we are going to look into occurs in the Najdorf variation of the Sicilian defense, and as you all know, Najdorf Sicilian is the most popular as well as most played variation in the Sicilian defense. So the trap continues after e4, c5, knight to f3, d6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight to f6, knight to c3, a6, and it is the Najdorf variation of the Sicilian defense. Now simply bishop to g5, e6, f4, knight b to d7, and in this position queen to e7 is considered to be the main line for white, but white can also go for a move that is bishop to c4, a simple normal looking move. And in this position, as a black player, if you are a beginner, you must go queen to b6 and continue the game, in which the position is totally equal. But after bishop to c4, many of the black players fall into this trap by playing b5, and this b5 leads to a losing position for black, because in this position white can simply sacrifice his bishop by playing bishop takes e6, and after f takes e6, knight takes e6, and you can see that the black queen on d8 is being attacked, and white is also giving a threat of knight to c7 check, winning or forking the king and rook. So the black queen cannot leave the defense of the c7 square, so the black queen has only b6 and a5 square, and the most normal looking move here is queen to b6, and after which white can simply play knight to d5, and after black takes, knight takes d5, queen takes d5, and in this position you can see that the rook on a8 is being attacked, and black here plays a very most natural looking move, that is simply bishop to b7, which not only defends the rook as well as attacks the queen, but this is a blunder and black has to face checkmate in 3. So now you can pause the video and find a very powerful move for white, which is simply knight to c7 check, and you can see that black king has no squares to run, and the first move is simply queen takes c7, and after queen to e6 check, queen to e7, and queen takes e7 is checkmate. So the second trap that we are going to look into occurs in the accelerated dragon variation of the Sicilian defense, which is also another most popular line in the Sicilian defense. So it starts after e4, c5, knight to f3, knight to c6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, and knight to f6, and knight to c3. And most of the beginner player who want to play the dragon Sicilian go for direct g6, but this is a mistake. If you are a beginner, then do not follow this move order. In this position you can simply go d6 and continue the game, and in the next move you can go g6, but many beginner player, or even in blitz or bullet games, player misses this move order and goes directly for the move g6, which is a mistake for black. And from this position white can simply take on c6, knight takes c6, b takes c6, and white has the move e5. And now you can see that the knight on f6 is attacked, and he has got only 3 squares: knight on g8, knight on h5, or knight to d5. Let's see all his options one by one. If he goes knight to g8, then you can see that black has lost a lot of tempi, and he has to figure a way out to develop his knight, because he cannot develop his knight on f6 because of the e5 pawn. So in this position white has already advantage in this position. So let's look at the another option, which is knight to d5. Before looking to knight d5, let's look to knight to h5. In this case white can simply push g4, and there is only one square left for knight, which is knight to g7, and you can see that the knight on g7 is stopping the dark color bishop to develop in its natural square. In this case, the bishop should be developed in g7, and black plays by fianchetting is dark square bishop. And also you can see that white has already got his g4 pawn, g pawn to g4, and he will try to push h4 and f4 in the next move, which will be little dangerous for black. So after e5, many of the player in this position go knight to d5, and white can simply capture on d5. Knight takes d5, c takes d5, and queen takes d5, and you can see that the black rook is being attacked and only one square left, that is rook to b8. And in this position, white can play a tricky move, that is e5. And if you look the position carefully, there is a very dangerous threat, which is e takes on f7 checkmate. So many of the black players fall into this trap and play f takes e6, which is a mistake which loses on the spot. So in this position, you can see that the rook on b8 and rook on h8 both are undefended. So white can simply play queen to e5, and you can see that both rooks are attacked and both rooks cannot be defended at the same time. So white will win a whole rook and the game. So instead to take on e6, f takes e6, the best option available for black is to play bishop to g7, after which e takes f7 check, king to f8, and to continue the game from here. But white has already got the advantage, and he will surely convert this position to win. Let's see the third trap. The third trap that I am going to show you occurs in the dragon 11 fish variation of the Sicilian defense, which starts by e4, c5, knight to f3, d6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight to f6, knight to f3, and the dragon variation starts by the move g6. So in this position, bishop to e3 from white is the main line considered in this position, but white can also try for a tricky move, which is f4. And in this position, as a black, you should go knight to c6 and continue the game. But many of the black players directly go for the bishop to g7 move, and which steps into the trap. Now white can simply push e5, after which d takes e5, f takes e5, and knight to g4. And in this position, white simply plays bishop to b4 check. And from the black side, just think, how are you going to block this check? If you play something like bishop to d7 to block the check, then simply queen takes g4 wins the game on the spot, because you cannot capture the queen because the d7 bishop is pinned with the king. So white is a total piece up. So after bishop to b4 check, you cannot play bishop to d7. So black tries to run away with his king by king to f8, and this move king to f8 allows white to finish off the game. And you can pause the video and find out the next move for white, which is totally winning. And the move for white is simply knight to e6 check, and after bishop takes e6, queen takes d8, it is a checkmate. So after knight to e6 check, you have to take with your f pawn, f takes e6, but in that case also you will have to lose your queen. Simply queen takes d8 check, and after king to f7, simply rook to f1 check, and this position is hopeless for white. So no need to continue to analyze this position. Till now we have already seen 3 opening traps in the Sicilian from the white side. Now let's look some of the traps from the black side too. So e4, c5, knight to f3, and in this position black can play a unusual move, that is a6. Now d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, and knight to f6. And many of the beginner player will push the pawn to e5, attacking the knight on f6, but it doesn't work in this condition because of queen to a5 check, after which you will lose a pawn. So after knight to f3, you cannot push e5. Instead, knight to c3, e5, now attacking the knight on d4, knight to b3, bishop to b4, pinning the knight on c3 and threatening to capture on e4. Simply bishop to d3. Now d5, opening up the center, and now e takes d5, knight takes d5, and you can see there is a lot of pressure in the c3 knight. Simply bishop to d2, and after knight takes c3, b takes c3, and bishop to d6. This position is already better for black, and you can see that in the opening stage black has already equalized and has a better position than white. So from the white side, after black plays e6, I would recommend the move c4 and play this position as a Marokzibine setup, which will be better for white from the opening. So let's look at the fifth as well as the last trap from this video. This trap occurs in the Paulsen variation of the Sicilian defense. It starts by e4, c5, knight to f3, e6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, and a6. This is the Paulsen variation of the Sicilian defense. And now knight to c3, queen to e7, and bishop to e3. I recommend you not to play bishop to e3, rather you can go bishop to d2 or bishop to d3. The reason why you should not go bishop to e3 is because of the black's next move, bishop to b4, and you can see that the knight on c3 is pinned. And of course, and obviously you don't want to go bishop to d2 now, because you don't want to move your bishop 2 times in the opening, and simply queen to d2. And in the same position, you can imagine if you haven't played the move bishop to e3, then after bishop to b4 you can go bishop to d2, but you have already played bishop to e3, so you have to go queen to d2. Now knight to f6. Now you can see how this move bishop to e3 creates problem for white, and black is just attacking the pawn on e4 because the knight on c3 is pinned. So in this position the best option for white is to go bishop to d3 and continue the game, but many of the players go with the move f3 in this position. And now d5, opening up the position. In this position you cannot push e5 because queen takes e5 simply loses a pawn. So after d5 many players will try to defend the e4 pawn by playing bishop to d3, but this loses on the spot. You can even pause the video and find why this bishop to d3 move loses on the spot. So I think many of you have already found the solution and found out that white will at least lose a piece in this position, because black has the move e5 attacking the knight, after which knight to b3 and d4 just wins a piece on the spot as well as the game. So I hope you liked the video. I have used these 5 traps in many of my games against low rated player, or even in bullet or blitz against higher rated opponents, and these traps really works in the practical game. So if you like my video, do hit the like button, and also don't forget to subscribe my channel and turn on the notifications so that you never miss any of my videos. And I'm soon going to upload the part 2 of the traps in the Sicilian defense. Till then, goodbye.